Do you believe in dragons? What if the dragons of legend were your ancestors? For centuries, dragons have been in legends across cultures. Some see them as guardians, while others view them as destroyers. They are the symbols of chaos and order, reflecting the true nature of the world itself. Whether it's a tale from a remote village in England, or a hugely popular Hollywood adaptation, their ever-changing attributes and appearance, shaped by factors like religion and cultural shifts, did little to no harm to their fame. They remain part of our lives after hundreds, if not thousands of years. Dragons are known to hold a significant place in Chinese culture, but China is not alone in this regard. Several Asian nations share similar beliefs. Like the Chinese emperor, Vietnamese kings also adopted the dragon as a symbol of their power. In Vietnamese culture, the dragons represent not only the fourfold deities of clouds, rain, thunder, and lightning, but are also linked to the element of water, and contrasting with the fiery creatures found in European tales. Most significantly, Vietnamese people see them as protectors and ancestors. Previously, we talked about the magic sword of the Dragon King and how it helps to shape the independent Vietnamese nation we have known today. The following legends is set in a much earlier period, but equally fascinating. A long time ago, there was a great turmoil in ancient Vietnam. Invaders from the north constantly threatened the peace of the land. While the mountainous terrain protected Vietnam's northern border, the eastern shoreline remained vulnerable to attacks. In their desperation, the people prayed to the Jade Emperor for protection. Moved by their struggles, the heavenly ruler dispatched a clan of powerful dragons to assist the people of Vietnam. These were no ordinary dragons. They were celestial beings, guardians of the realm. From the sky, the mother dragon and her children, with shimmering pearl-white scales, descended with a thunderous roar. And the heavens shook and the sea parted upon their arrival. As they flew over the coast, the dragons unleashed jewels of jade and emerald from their mouths. These precious stones fell into the sea, magically transforming into thousands of islands and islets. These newly formed islands created a labyrinth in the water, a natural fortress that halted the invaders' advance. Their ships crashed against the jagged rocks, consumed by fire. Some sunk into the sea. The rest of the enemies fled in panic. Who wouldn't, when witnessing the sight of the mighty beast? Bees finally returned to the land, thanks to their magical assistance. People rejoiced and grateful to the dragons for their miraculous intervention. But peace was not the only gifts granted by the heavenly host that day. Instead of returning to the Jade Emperor's palace abode, the mother dragon and her devoted offspring decided to stay and make this place their home. It is believed that they sometimes took on human form to assist the early Vietnamese people in developing the agricultural and animal husbandry systems necessary for the growth of their nation. They named the area where the mother dragon landed Ha Long Bay, meaning the Bay of the Descending Dragon. Directly northeast of Ha Long Bay, where her children gather, is known as Bai Tu Long Bay, and their tails form the area of Pak Long Vi, which means White Dragon's Tail. And so, the dragons, in their eternal grace, continue to watch over Ha Long Bay. Their presence is felt in every misty morning and every golden sunset, preserving the land's beauty and fascinating all who visit this magical place. Ha Long Bay has numerous stunning caves, each with its unique legend. Thiên Gong Cave, for example, is believed to have been the residence of the Dragon King and his mortal wife, May, who celebrated their wedding there for 7 days and 7 nights. The echoes of drums created by the wind passing through the cavern and the stalactites are said to resemble the wedding guests of dragons, gods, fairies, and animals. It is said that anyone who visits the cave feels transported back to their grand celebration. Local legend tells of 3 young maidens venturing into the bay in their boat, when a bright sunny day suddenly turned into heavy rainfall. They sought shelter in a nearby cave. This cave, known as Han Cave, is the longest and perhaps the most beautiful cave in the Ha Long Bay area, visible during low tide. The rain eventually stopped, but instead of leaving, the maidens were so captivated by the cave's beauty that they lost track of time. As the tide rose, the cave flooded, and the 3 young women tragically lost their lives. It is believed that the Dragon King took pity on them and transformed them into the guardians of Ha Long Bay. Local fishermen built a shrine in the cave to honor them, naming it Bako Shrine, meaning the shrine of 3 girls. And to this day, incense is still lit, and prayers are offered to the 3 guardians. But is the dragons in Vietnam simply a figment of Vietnamese people's imagination? It appears not to be so. Several alleged dragon sightings were documented during the French colonial period in Vietnam. The Haiphong News reported that several French sailors witnessed a massive sea serpent in Ha Long Bay. These sightings were reportedly observed in 1898, 1900, and 1902, with occasional reports in Vietnamese tabloids ever since. Are these the same dragons whom the locals believed to have saved them from the oppressors? Instead of using the Vietnamese term long for the dragon, the French associated this huge sea serpent with something they were more familiar with, the Tarasque, a legendary creature described as a dragon in French folklore, famously said to have been tamed by Saint Martha and by sprinkling holy water on it and leading it into the town of Tarascon, where it was captured and killed. unlike the benevolent Vietnamese dragons that watch over their people. The Tarrasque is depicted in the legend as a menacing creature believed to be the offspring of the Leviathan and the Bonacus, causing chaos by sinking boats and consuming anyone who dares to approach. This may be just different cultural interpretations of the same creature, or maybe there are multiple legendary beasts in the area. Nowadays, sightings of the Tarrasque have drawn comparisons to Nessie, the well-known Loch Ness monster. These tales certainly add to the mystical appeal of Ha Long Bay, and you do not have to believe in dragons to sense the magic of this place. And some may argue that simply being there turns you into a believer. Its unique natural beauty makes it a popular filming location for movies and TV shows, including Pan and Kong Skull Island. Now a UNESCO World Heritage Site and listed among the new 7 natural wonders of the world, Ha Long Bay holds archaeological evidence of ancient Vietnamese culture dating back 16,000 years. It was an ancient port for cultural and commercial exchange, and experienced invasions from the Mongols and Chinese. During the Vietnam War, its strategic position was crucial in defending the Vietnamese mainland from sea attacks. And the area's vast cave systems were used by the Vietnamese army for hiding out, storing weapons, and planning surprise strikes. You can still find traces of the war in some caves, like the hospital cave, which functions as a secret medical facility. If the dragon family indeed created this wonder, then it suffices to say they did a marvelous job. To talk about Vietnamese people's dragon's ancestry, we have to travel back to the Hong Bang dynasty of ancient Vietnam, to the tale of Lac Long Quan and Oka, the legendary ancestors of the Vietnamese people, whose union shaped the destiny of a nation. The complete annals of Dai Viet tell us about Kinh Dien Vun, the very first ruler of the Hong Bang dynasty in 2879 BCE. Born into a distinguished lineage, his father was Emperor Ming, a descendant of Shen Nong, a mythical ruler and patron of medicine, forestry, and agriculture in ancient China, who is still worshipped by many to this day. And his mother was an immortal of the mountains. He inherited the southern region from his father, became the ruler of Sidgway, and marked the beginning of Hong Bang dynasty, which spanned over 2,600 years. He married a dragon princess and daughter of the dragon lord of Dongting. From their union, a boy named Sang Lam, best known in the kingdom as Lac Long Quan, the dragon lord of Lac, was born. Having come from such distinguished lines, he was blessed with qualities from both his parents, possessing supreme intelligence and strength from a young age. His dragon lineage gave to him the ability to control rivers and vast oceans, and communicate with dragons and all sea creatures. Although he has dominion over both land and sea. He shows a special fondness for the water, often spending time by the coast as well as at his mother's dragon palace underwater. The special little boy grew into a powerful and wise leader, beloved by his people. Instead of ruling from his throne, he journeyed across his kingdom, both on land and underwater, driving away evil spirits, vanquishing monsters, and teaching the early Vietnamese people essential skills such as farming and fishing. Legend has it that whenever they call upon his name, he will promptly come to their aid, never straying far from his people. It was during one of his journeys that he found his future queen. Far north in the mountain lived a beautiful lady, Oka. Some say she was a daughter of Emperor Ai, which makes her the descendant of Shen, but she was most widely known as the immortal of the mountains. Like her ancestors, she was skilled in medicine and was a compassionate healer, known for her deep connection to nature and her ability to nurture life. The northern forces seized the opportunity of Lạc Long Quan's absence and invaded his southern territory. And the people, filled with despair, cried out for him to return. Meanwhile, the lovely Oka was exploring the unfamiliar southern land with her father. As she wandered around, admiring her new surroundings, a giant black bird suddenly attacked her aggressively. In a state of panic, she transformed into a white crane to escape. As the young king responded to his people's cries and returned to his kingdom, he saw a distressed white crane being chased by a monstrous bird. Without hesitation, Lạc Long Quan picked up a large stone nearby, held it with his immense strength, and slayed the beast. The grateful crane descended before her savior, transforming back into her elegant human form. And just like in a classic fairy tale, they fell deeply in love, and soon the entire kingdom rejoiced in their union with a grand celebration. The marriage was a significant event, symbolizing not only the unity of the North and South, but also the harmony between the mountains and the seas, the fire and the water. The loving couple settled on land equal in distance between the mountain and the sea, and they were soon expecting a baby. But what would the child of the dragon and immortal descent look like? After her pregnancy lasted 3 years and 10 months, the day finally arrived. To her horror, she gave birth to a sack containing 100 eggs. Believing the egg sac to be a bad omen, Oka left it in the field. Strangely, the eggs hatched by themselves within a week into 100 beautiful boys. The children grew strong and wise like their father, and compassionate and skilled like their mother, and they were well taught to cultivate in their lands and live nobly. However, as time went by, Lạc Long Quan found himself longing to be near the sea again, while Oka missed the mountains. Understanding the need to balance their different domains, they made a heartfelt decision. Lạc Long Quân took 50 of their sons to the coast, where they become the rulers of the revered, ancestor of the Kin people, the majority ethnic group in Vietnam. While Oka took the remaining 50 to the highlands, where they became the rulers of Old Viet, the ancestors of the ethnic minority in Vietnam. Despite the distance, they vowed to maintain their love and support for one another and promised to always be there to help each other in times of need. Lạc Long Quân and Oka are considered the father and mother of the Vietnamese civilization. Their eldest son followed Oka to Phong Châu, the ancient capital city of Vietnam. He succeeded his father and became Hong King in 2524 BCE and founded the Kingdom of Van Lang, the first nation in Vietnamese history. Their descendants ruled Vietnam for 18 generations. Each year, on the 10th day of the 3rd lunar month, Vietnamese people celebrate the Hong King's festival and to commemorate the enormous contributions of their beloved ancestors, the Hong Kings. Temples are also built dedicated to Oka and Lạc Long Quân. Cities and towns have streets named after the couple. Their legends is widely taught in schools. This is not just a tale of love and separation, but a foundation myth that has shaped the identity of a nation, inspiring countless stories and traditions. They proudly call themselves the children of the dragon, an immortal mountain fairy. If the dragon symbolized Vietnamese people's patriotic spirit and their determination to protect their homeland, the legend of Oka and Lạc Long Quân represents the unity of the nation. Whichever part of the country one hails from, they belong to one origin. And just like Lạc Long Quân and Oka promised to each other, all Vietnamese should love, honor, and protect one another.